Hi, I'm Terry Brock, and today we're using Skype for more and more capabilities for reaching people, and when you're in the market for a job, it's very important, and we got a treat for you today. I have got with me, joining me right now from his office, which can be just about anywhere because he works remotely, Jeff Garber. He is the CEO of 360 Job Interview, and he has people that are around the country that can help you in a very concise way. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, you're welcome. My pleasure, Terry.
I'm really excited. I've been looking at your website and I've seen the kind of things that you do, how you help people as they're doing interviews, and they're doing it now. We're seeing more and more people using tools like Skype. Are you seeing that as a growing trend?
Absolutely. It's not so much a trend anymore because trend sort of gives the feeling that it's going to be in the future. It's here in the now and the present. When you have over 500 million people using Skype and you watch it daily on CNN, ABC, and the most recent disaster in Japan, and most of the reporters were delivering their story via Skype, it's here now. It's not a trend.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that technology has really enabled us for connectivity. I think it's an easy technology for folks to use, and people have really embraced it. I think what happened was it actually grew out of their personal use, connecting with loved ones, families across the country or all over the world that may have moved. And once they've sort of brought it into their own lives, they felt comfortable. And then, of course, when the business applications came, as that was being developed, they felt very comfortable using the technology.
Yeah, it makes it a logical extension from what we've been doing personally, and now we see the real business application of it, and what more practical application than knowing how to interview. Now, I understand you're helping people in that you interview them, you provide that as a service on your website, and I wanted to twist your arm a little bit here, now that we got you on screen, to find out a few of the tips that are available, at least get a couple of them from you here on the video, that you would advise to someone who is, maybe they're looking for that job, they don't do a lot of interviews, but they want to make sure they come across well. What are a few tips that you could pass along to that person?
Well, first of all, is we provide a lot of career counseling, interview coaching, and resume building via Skype. So we're very familiar with the technology, and so is our coaches. A couple of things is we want people to feel familiar with the technology. More and more employers are going to opt for the first screening to be via Skype for a number of reasons. One is it's more economical for them. They don't have to fly a potential candidate into the home office. And also, you can record a Skype interview. Our 360 workforce, which is directed towards the employers, we actually record potential candidate interviews for job openings. But from a counseling standpoint, we say to the job seeker is, first of all, get familiar with the technology. Skype is free as far as using it on online in a webcam. Sign up for an account. It's very easy to do. Second of all is, if you have an interview coming up that is on Skype or webcam-based technology, get familiar with it. Once you sign up, spend some time with it, maybe Skype a friend or a colleague. Make sure prior to the interview you're totally comfortable with the technology, because the worst thing would be is to start an interview and show the fact that you are ill-prepared and you're not familiar with technology. In this day of competitive jobs, you have to be on the cutting edge of embracing technology. And in some ways, this is a live test that if you are ill-prepared and not coming across technology proficient, it will work against you.
Yeah, so knowing the tools, knowing how to use them is very important, and I'm sure there's a lot of other good ideas, and you'll have that. So tell us a little bit about your website and how people can access that.
Well, it's 360jobinterview.com, and what we do is provide live career coaching, interview coaching, and resume building with over 300 HR coaches in 55 job fields. So, for instance, if you were placed in finance and you were looking to figure out how to plot your next job strategic plan, you could actually connect with one of our folks where you actually read their bios, see their picture, and we do electronic scheduling to determine an appointment that is best suitable for you. And then from that point, you go through a shopping cart experience and you set up an appointment with a coach, upload a resume if you have one, or an upcoming job description. And from that point, it is a very hard-hitting 1-hour live Skype with a professional HR person.
Yeah, and I like the way you do that. I was looking at your website and see if someone's in finance or engineering or whatever, they're going to get someone who really knows that industry and be able to get help. And the beauty of what you've got is it's geographically independent. It really doesn't matter. You can get people to assist you in those specific areas where you need help and be able to hone up those skills that if interviewing is not your real strength, hey, you get some help on that.
Well, exactly. And I think one of the things that we're excited about is that no matter where you live, if you live in a small town, you have access to tremendous coaches that are in large metropolitan areas and specialists in your field. You know, I think with jobs being a tough competitive market, it's important for the job seeker to really be the best at their game, and I don't think anyone can afford to wing it. For instance, for every job opening, there's between 300 and 500 applicants, and from that standpoint, maybe only 10 or 12 are actually called for an interview. So if you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to get that call for an interview, you don't want to miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
Another thing that I want to talk about is, from a Skype standpoint, is when you actually do get that interview, and if it's via Skype, make sure that, as we talked about the technology, that you also are, one, prepared. This is a real interview, so make sure that you really study the questions and if you're proficient. Second of all, it's a very intimate meeting because it's one-on-one and you're talking to the person via a webcam. So you want to convey the fact that you're comfortable and that you're not scared and you're not, like Bambi in the headlights.
Yes, exactly.
The other thing is, it is an interview. Make sure that you dress appropriately for the job that you're applying for. Mm-hmm. And I would suggest dress head to toe because you never know, for some reason, if you have to sort of stand up in mid-interview that your bottom half matches your top half.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look real well with those cutoffs on when you have the coat and tie above, thinking that they're not going to see that, and oh, whoops, now they do.
Exactly. The other aspect is make sure that the lighting is good. You want to look the best that you can. You don't want a dark, dingy room, and then again, you don't want an incredibly bright room where you look washed out. So be cognizant of that. For women, make sure that your makeup is appropriate and that you look the best that you can. And as far as noise, make sure that if you do a webcam interview, a Skype interview, that you're in a noiseless environment. If you have a dog that tends to bark when the doorbell rings, maybe that dog could maybe visit the neighbors during that session.
Yeah, I like the way you phrase that. That's a good idea.
Pardon?
That's a very good idea. Letting Fido go next door and visit the neighbors during that particular time.
Exactly. You may even want to put on your front door, please don't ring the doorbell or knock on the door. You want to keep noise at a minimal at best. The other thing, too, is the environment that you're going to be conducting the interview, make sure that it's clean, uncluttered, and presentable. Mm-hmm. If for some reason it looks as though you're filming in a closet and there's clothes all over the place, stacks of books, that's going to be a reflection on you as a job seeker that you're not well organized and you don't take pride in your own environment.
Yes, exactly. Matter of fact, I notice where you are right now. It's a pleasant environment, and I have to do a lot of coaching sometimes into videos that I do, saying, you might want to move that one picture there of your Mardi Gras expedition. You might want that one to be moved away. I know this is more formal, but I see the way that you've done it there. It looks very appropriate. Have you taken some thought yourself and saying, okay, I'm going to set this up and use it for some of your interviews?
Oh, absolutely, because all day long I'm on Skype and I do a lot of interviews as well. And I think that I have to practice what I preach.
Yep, exactly. Now, and one thing I want to hit you because this is a very important. We've talked about this in interviews. It's very much like a television interview. There are times, though, then when you're doing that interview, right about that time, they send a fleet of ambulances or helicopters overhead. Now, you can't really prepare for that. What do you recommend when that inevitable or that untimely noise of the helicopter or the ambulance goes by?
Well, you know what? It's the real world, and things do happen. I think what's important, though, is don't allow yourself to become nervous about it. Recover from it. So if there's a loud noise and it's ambulance or there's a jet passing by, make sure that you stay focused and that you don't lose track of what you're talking about during that interview.
Yes, absolutely. Very important. So in other words, you kind of roll with the punches, but also remain calm because, hey, most any job you're going for, there's going to be times when emergencies happen and they want to see how you do react in an emergency.
Exactly. It's, for some reason, if maybe, and it's happened to me where there's been a power failure and you have to sort of scramble to figure out how you can reconnect, you need to keep very cool, calm, and give the impression that no matter what comes your way, you can pretty much address it and not be detached from it all.
Yeah, it would seem like another option for those that can do it would be to maybe have another laptop available. Just in case that one you're using doesn't work, having another backup could be a good idea. What do you think?
Hey, I think that's a great suggestion. Good thinking. No, I like that a lot.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of similarities between doing the job interview and doing other interviews that we've done and recording. And so we find a lot of those kind of things just, you don't always think about it, but boy, that if this is a job and you're there and you can say, whoops, my laptop just died. I don't know why, but I've got another one standing by. Let me call you back on that one right away.
And I think it makes sense to be as prepared as possible. And one of the things we didn't discuss is the audio. Make sure that, most laptops in the last 3 years, as you know, Terry, come equipped with a webcam and a pretty good audio aspect of it. But for some reason, if you're working on a different system and you need headsets to make sure that your microphone and your sound sounds really good. The other aspect is try to be as connected directly using broadband. I know a lot of us use Wi-Fi at home, but sometimes that signal can go up or down. So if you do have an Ethernet connection, you may want to opt for that during your all-important Skype interview with a potential employer.
Yes, very important point. I agree with all of that from things I've seen. Matter of fact, even right now as we're recording this, I'll hold this up. I'm using my Yeti microphone here. So I've got a nice professional microphone, and notice you don't see it here. So that's just for those of you watching there at home. You have it there so that it comes across very well. And the Wi-Fi, yeah, we like to use that, but if you can lean toward Ethernet, absolutely. Jeff, I'd have to agree with you completely on that. Well, you've got a lot of good ideas there, and I really love the site that you have and what you're doing and the service you're providing for people. Those of you watching, I would encourage you to go over to the site because, hey, like the old saying, dig your well before you're thirsty. You want to learn how to use these skills if you ever need them, and if that pink slip ever comes your way, you want to at least know you've got some interview skills down that you've acquired, and they're very reasonably priced there. You'll find out all the information on the site. And again, Jeff, tell us how they find that site.
It's 360jobinterview.com.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Terry Brock, and thank you for being with us here on this Skype interview.
My pleasure, Terry.